Now, Chelsea have just smashed PSG 3-0 in the Club World Cup final, and Enzo Maresca's team deployed a variety of different tactics, which one, gave them an advantage, and two, exposed the European champions, starting from Robert Sanchez's distribution from deep to Chelsea's unique 4-4-2 shape off the ball. The time has come to dissect. So how did Chelsea become world champions? And how did they do it so easily by dismantling the current Champions League holders in PSG? A PSG team which is feared across the world because of their relentless press. What were Enzo Maresca's tactics? It's only right to start off with the famous quote of Johan Cruyff. In my team, my goalkeeper is the first attacker, and my striker is my first defender. So how does this apply to Enzo Maresca's tactics? How did this give Chelsea an edge? And how did it allow Enzo Maresca to exploit Luis Enrique's biggest weakness? It takes us to the first talking point. Robert Sanchez's distribution from deep. 9 out of 26 successful long passes into the final third. His distribution was a game changer. Now, Robert Sanchez was clearly instructed to go long. But it wasn't a matter of just go long and hope and pray that it finds a teammate in the perfect space at the perfect time. No, there was a method. There was a structure behind all of this. And this structure is what, one, gave Chelsea the edge, and two, exposed PSG. Now, Chelsea in build-up, they would set up in their 3-4-3. Chelsea throughout the Club World Cup have shown a variety of different build-up structures. But against PSG, they went 3-4-3, knowing fully well that PSG like to deploy their relentless press in the 4-3-3 shape. This 3-4-3 meant Gusto and Pedro Neto would occupy the flanks. But when PSG would press with their 3-man press, the 3 PSG players would automatically press Chelsea's 3 centre-halves. But with Gusto and Neto hugging the flanks, it meant the pass over the top was always available throughout that 90-minute game. The amount of times we saw Robert Sanchez clipping it long into the channels, Gusto available unmarked, Pedro Neto available unmarked, it automatically takes 3, 4, 5 PSG players out of the game. Now you're probably sat wondering, why didn't Luis Enrique just instruct his players to drift out wide, occupy the flanks, so Malo Gusto and Pedro Neto didn't remain unmarked? Well, it's not that simple. Enzo Maresca created a trap in the centre of the field, and these players executed it to a very high level. In particular, Enzo and Palmer, and we saw this for Joao Pedro's goal. Now, PSG would deploy their press in the 4-3-3. That automatically means they've got 3 midfielders against Chelsea's 3-4-3 against Caicedo and Reece James. Palmer and Enzo were always instructed to drop deeper, to give Chelsea that central overload, that numerical advantage. It automatically becomes a 4v3, creating this little box shape. Because of that, the 3 PSG players can't drift out wide, because if they do, Chelsea have a numerical advantage by 4v1 in the centre of the field. They have to stay in the middle. Now, you're probably sat wondering, okay, sweet. Why doesn't Nuno Mendes? Why doesn't Achraf Hakimi push higher up in order to occupy Malo Gusto and Pedro Neto? They did. But it didn't really work, because when they did, look at the space that it leaves in the flanks for somebody like Enzo to turn and run into, for somebody like Cole Palmer to run into, and we did see him do it. And at the same time, Joao Pedro, as much as he had a good performance in terms of holding up the ball and connecting the dots, he had a very good performance in regards to running the channels. It was a trap. If you follow us, you leave space in behind. If you don't follow us, we've got all the time and space in the centre to destroy you. Enzo Maresca's tactics left those PSG players with a dilemma every single time Chelsea played out of the back. Do we push high and risk leaving the space in behind? Because Chelsea's front line is very dynamic. It's full of pace, it's full of power, it's full of players of penetration in the final third. It always left them with a dilemma. And one thing every single player on the pitch, every single coach doesn't want is to go into a game of football having a dilemma, whether to stuck inside or stay out wide, whether to push high or stay deep. And throughout the 90-minute game, we saw Hakimi and Mendes pushing higher up and paying the price for it. We also saw them sitting deep and paying the price for it. Chelsea exposed this PSG team in a variety of different ways. They exposed them by going long with Robert Sanchez, but at the same time, they exposed them by Palmer, Enzo, dropping deep, creating those central overloads, having that numerical advantage, beating the press and getting into the final third, and the players showing their X factor. So why did Chelsea set up in the unique 4-4-2 shape off the ball? Now, Enzo Maresca's job as a coach is to make life as easy as possible for his players on the pitch. Now, he can do this in a variety of different ways, through his tactics, through his structure, through his in-game instructions, through his overall principles as a manager. But Chelsea set up in the 4-4-2 mainly to stop PSG from having any fun out wide in the flanks. Now, if you were to look at PSG over the past 12 months, which area of the pitch do they utilise their best of players, their most penetrative of players? Which area of the field do they hurt the opposition the most? The fair answer would be the flanks. Out wide on the right, you've got Achraf Hakimi and Desiree Doué. On the left-hand side, you've got Kvaratskhelia and Nuno Mendes, two of the best wingers in the world, two of the best fullbacks in the world. And they have fun by creating overloads in those areas, especially when one of their midfielders drifts out wide to create that overload. All it takes is Kvaratskhelia on the ball with Nuno Mendes underlapping or overlapping, and they're in the opposition box. Enzo Maresca didn't want this to happen. Enzo Maresca didn't want to sit down and watch that game knowing that on any occasion, Cucurella would be 2v1 outnumbered out wide on the left. He didn't want to watch the game and see Malo Gusto 2v1 outnumbered on the right hand side. The 4-4-2 shape meant if PSG tried to play down Chelsea's left hand side, Cucurella and Pedro Neto were both there to occupy PSG's two wide players in Achraf Hakimi and Desiree Doué. And the same thing can be said about Chelsea's right hand side. If PSG tried to attack down Chelsea's right hand side, Cole Palmer and Malo Gusto were always there to stop Nuno Mendes and Kvaratskhelia. Going 2v2 is always better than leaving your teammate 2v1 at a numerical disadvantage. And the 4-4-2 shape, who can turn around and say we saw much of somebody like Kvaratskhelia in the Club World Cup final? Who can turn around and say we saw much of Desiree Doué in the Club World Cup final? This is where a manager earns his bread and butter, and Enzo Maresca has definitely earned it. Chelsea are the world champions. If you're new, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. Always engage in the comments. And I will catch you guys on another one.